You know how we're all obsessed with natural talent? What if I told you that that very obsession is the one thing holding us back from doing amazing things? We're going to jump into Adam Grant's book, Hidden Potential, which basically flips everything we think we know about success on its head. And it all kicks off with one powerful idea. Now, that's not just beautiful poetry. That's the heart of this entire book. The idea that true greatness can pop up in the most unlikely places, totally defying the odds. And you know, there's no better real-life story of a rose growing from concrete than what happened at a legendary chess tournament way back in 1991. So picture this. It's the 1991 National Junior High Chess Championships. This is the big leagues for young brainiacs. I mean, it's a total battleground. And for years, one powerhouse school had just been wiping the floor with everyone.
Okay, so on one side of the board, you've got the Dalton School. Think of them as the villains in a movie, an elite, three-time defending champion factory for chess prodigies. And in the other corner, the Raging Rooks, a team of kids from a public school in Harlem. Most of them had only just learned how to play a couple of years before. Seriously, nobody gave them a shot.
But then, something crazy started to happen. The Rooks came out swinging. One by one, their players were checkmating kids who had way more experience. They were just defying all logic, round after round, climbing up the leaderboard and leaving everybody completely speechless.
And then, the impossible. In the final round, as all the top teams were cracking under the pressure, the Raging Rooks pulled off one of the biggest upsets in history. The kids from Harlem, the ultimate underdogs, became national champions.
So, that's the million-dollar question, right? How on earth did they do it? The answer, well, it forces us to completely tear down our old ideas about what potential actually is.
You know, we're trained to be impressed by people who are just good at something from day one, the naturals. But what if we're looking at the wrong thing entirely? What if your starting point doesn't really matter? Here it is, the big idea. Potential isn't some fixed thing you're born with. It's about the distance you travel over time. It's about your capacity for growth. The Raging Rooks didn't start at the front of the pack, but man, the distance they traveled, their growth was just off the charts.
This visual just nails it, doesn't it? Waiting until you feel ready often just leads to, well, nothing. But real progress, that messy, bumpy, upward climb, that happens when you just start. Right now. That's where you find out what you're really capable of.
And get this, the science totally backs this up. A huge study looked at 120 world-class performers. We're talking concert pianists, Olympic athletes, the best of the best, and found something wild. Almost none of them were child prodigies. Their special ingredient wasn't raw talent. It was this incredible, unusual motivation to just get better.
Okay, so if we want to build that kind of motivation and go the distance, how do we do it? Well, the first key is something we usually run away from as fast as we can: discomfort.
We all have this idea that learning is a straight line. You gain some knowledge, you get comfortable, and then you move on. But in reality, it's the total opposite. The practice makes you feel awkward and uncomfortable, and it's pushing through that feeling that actually creates real progress. That discomfort is the signal that you're growing.
And the biggest enemy of discomfort? It's perfectionism. We're so terrified of making one tiny mistake that we just freeze up. We stop trying new things, which is literally the only way to grow. We have to learn to become what Adam Grant calls imperfectionists. So, how do you do that? He gives 3 really practical tips. First, ask for advice, not feedback. Feedback is about what you already did. Advice is about what you can do next. It's way more helpful. Second, don't aim for a perfect product. Aim for a minimum lovable one. Just get something good enough out there. And third, find some judges. Ask people you trust to score your work from 0 to 10. That gives you real data on where you need to focus.
All right, so we're learning to love the discomfort. But how do we keep showing up day after day? The next part of the puzzle is building structures, he calls them scaffolding, to make the hard work feel a little more like play. Scaffolding is just a temporary support that lets you tackle something you couldn't do on your own. It's like training wheels on a bike. And there's this wild example. Studies show that playing Tetris right after a traumatic event can actually reduce flashbacks. The game acts like a mental scaffold, helping your brain organize the chaos in a structured way. How cool is that?
And this brings us to this amazing idea called deliberate play.
And listen, this is way more than just gamification. It's not about slapping points on a boring task to trick yourself into doing it. It's about totally redesigning the task so that it's challenging and actually fun.
Think about NBA superstar Steph Curry. He's not just out there shooting hundreds of boring free throws, no way. His trainer makes every single drill a game, where Curry is competing against his own best score. There's a time to beat, a score to top. His only opponent is the guy he was yesterday, and the only way to win is to get better.
And just remember, you don't need some perfect, detailed plan to get started on any of this. That's a total illusion. All you really need is a compass, just a general sense of direction and the guts to take that first step. So let's wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway here? Unlocking your hidden potential isn't about being born a genius. It's about developing a set of skills and building systems around you that let you travel that amazing distance of growth. So here it is, your cheat sheet. First, lean into discomfort. That's how you know you're learning. Be a sponge. Soak up knowledge because you want to grow, not just look smart. Ask for advice, not feedback. Turn your hard work into deliberate play. And most importantly, remember that progress is messy. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a giant leap forward.
The story of the Raging Rooks proves it. Where you start just doesn't define where you end up. The real measure of your potential is simply how far you're willing to go. So the only question left for you is, how far will you go?